Okay, well, let's get underway, shall we? So, greetings all, and welcome to another Hour Scarborough, where we bring Scarborough leaders together to build relationships and learn from interesting people and organizations who are doing important work in Scarborough. My name's Larry Watmore. I think many of you know me, and I'm the president of the Scarborough Community Renewal Organization. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of all the lands that we're on today. While we meet today on a virtual platform, we want to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the land which we all call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility for improving relationships between nations and to improve our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. From coast to coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territories of the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people who call this nation home. Please join me in a moment of reflection to acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and to consider how we can, each in our own way, move forward in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Thank you. We have an interesting program tonight. Two speakers on two very different topics, both very focused on serving Scarborough and helping to make Scarborough the special place that it is. So let's get going. Let me introduce tonight's first speaker, Owen Jones. Owen is going to talk about 60 years of scuba diving, the Scarborough Underwater Club. Owen has been a resident of Scarborough since 1985. Owen owns and operates a market research company called Better Decisions that tests advertising, new products, and packaging for clients in North America and around the world. Owen was a member of Rotary for 25 years. Many of us in the room could relate to that. And Owen served as president of the Toronto Don Valley Rotary Club in 1995-96. Owen got hooked on scuba diving in his 50s and joined the Scarborough Underwater Club, where he's an active member. Owen and his wife, Nancy, have 3 adult children and 1 grandson. Owen, welcome. Over to you.
Larry, thank you so much. And may I share my screen?
Yes, you may.
Let me see, that should be it.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. And thanks for the opportunity to talk about a couple of things. And one is something I'm very passionate about, and that is scuba diving. And the second thing is, of course, the club I joined, and that is the Scarborough Underwater Club and our 60 years of diving with the people of Scarborough. I'm getting some feedback from
Yes, so am I. I'm just going to go through and mute a few dozen people.
All right. Well, first I'd like.
Whoops. Sorry, I muted you. You'll have to do it yourself, Owen. Come out from behind the screen. Thank you.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
That's quite all right. That's quite all right. Well, listen, first I'd like to bring greetings from our president, Mike McAllister, and our board of directors. And what I'd like to tell you about that is that we are a not-for-profit organization. Our officers are elected and they are in office for a 2-year term at least. And we are a 100% volunteer organization. So keep that in mind as we go. And Mike's with us today. Say hi, Mike. I think Susie, or the Scarborough Underwater Club, is probably Scarborough's best secret. And I don't know, just show of hands, who has heard of the Scarborough Underwater Club before today? Yeah, okay, a handful. So we have, when I wrote this presentation, we had 65 members. Bev has instructed me today, we now have 69 members for 2022, and we're growing every day. So this is amazing. Our membership is geographically diverse. We cover the whole GTA area, not just Scarborough, but we have members as far north as Sudbury as well. As I mentioned, we are not for profit. Here's an interesting statistic. We are 41% of our club is under the age of 50. All right, so that's important to know because we're not a bunch of old fat white guys that are just hanging in there for whatever. We are a diverse population, and we have a lot of younger members coming on. We have 38% of our club has less than 100 dives under their belt. That's important too, as I'll come to in just a moment when we talk about the training that we do. 11% of our divers have over 1,000 dives, and that's where the strength and the training comes from. And as I mentioned before, we are a 100% volunteer organization, and we are open for business. All right, we are looking for new members, so pass that information along. 1961 is when it all began for Scarborough Underwater Club, or SUSI, as we're known. 17 of the founding members met at that time, and they came out of the Scarborough Parks and Rec skin diving program. Early days, we were in the Cedar Brae pool. Shortly after that, we were at the Centennial pool, I guess in 1967, when all the Centennial money was being spent. About 6 years ago, we entered the Toronto Pan Am Center, and I have to tell you that is a spectacular facility. You can see in the picture here the high dive. The pool that high diving platforms are on is actually 5 meters deep, and it is just excellent for us as scuba divers, and it allows us to do a lot of skills training and development in that pool. We are certainly blessed with that facility in our area. And if I leave you with nothing else today, I want you to remember this: the Scarborough Underwater Club is about safe and responsible diving. Sorry, I'm getting that feedback again from someone. We are a training club at first, and we adhere to what's the Professional Association of Dive Instructors standards, or PADI standards. We're also about fun. We're a very social club. We have pool sessions that happen a couple of times a month at the TPAS Center. We have general meetings that happen once a month, and we have social events going on throughout the year. We're also all about adventure. We have a full season of diving from May until October in Ontario alone. And that's including diving in the Niagara River, the St. Clair River, the Thousand Islands, St. Lawrence, where there's probably the largest collection of shipwrecks in the world in that one stretch of water, up to Tobermory and other places as well. Penetang's another great spot. As well, any time during the year, one of our members or one or more of our members has gone somewhere in the world to dive, whether it's Australia, the Caribbean, the Philippines, Indonesia, Galapagos. Someone in our club is going somewhere a few times a year at least. So we are all about safety, fun, and adventure. So let's get started diving. And some of the pictures you'll see I've taken, and some of them I'll give credit to the other people who have taken them. This is ones from me in the Bahamas a few years back. We run Discover Scuba a couple of times a year, and this is an opportunity to just get immersed in the sport of diving for very little cost and very little effort. So for a nominal fee, we'll provide the equipment and the training you need to get underwater and blow bubbles with us. It is completely confined, and it's in a confined space. It's completely safe, and there's an instructor or a dive master with you 100% of the time. You'll notice in the picture on the right that we are in, even underwater, we are in water that somebody can just simply stand up in. So it's a good, safe instruction here. But what I wanted to mention is that this will open up a whole world to you. Just the ability to breathe underwater and what you can do is truly, truly amazing. So let's talk about skill development. You have the Discover Scuba, which, as I mentioned, is in that confined water. The next progression would be to open water certification. And here we take you through pool sessions and open water sessions, as well as some e-learning. And when you graduate from this program after a month or so, you are able to now dive without an instructor. Next stage would be the advanced open water, which I'll tell you, this is where it gets really super interesting. That we'll teach you how to dive on wrecks. We'll take you just a little bit deeper, and we'll teach you a critical skill of navigation, and actually you'll go on night dives as well, which is totally an amazing experience. If someone were to ask me, how far should I go in scuba? I would say rescue diver is where you should head to. This course changed my life as a diver. This one teaches you how to spot problems before they happen, teaches you all the necessary safety, emergency safety procedures, and you will come out of that course with emergency first response and CPRC, which is a critical life skill that we all should have anyways. Next is Dive Master. Now you're ready to lead a large group of divers, and you're also ready to be an assistant to an instructor. And the final stage, of course, would be instructor, where you get to impart all your great knowledge. So top level training is what we are all about. And I took this shot in Cancun when we swam with the whale sharks. And if you're wondering, if you don't know about a whale shark, it's about the size of a school bus. The largest fish in the ocean. We are super serious about training. Jack is our training director. He got certified in 1969. He probably has well over 1,000 dives, and he manages our whole training program. Raymond, one of the best instructors you'll ever meet. Brilliant dive. He's got the dive encyclopedia in his head. He's probably got between 5,000 and 6,000 dives, and he's really keen on nautical archaeology, which is really strong interest for Raymond. Lauren, Will, they're just two of the 5 other instructors we have on staff, and we have about 11 dive masters who are ready and eager to help us and train us. But we're not all about diving. We're also pretty patriotic folks, and we take our flags anywhere we go around the world. We also clean up pretty nicely at any of our social events. We do a lot of interesting social activities, as you can see here. Somebody was the goalie for this Axe team, I think. And we help clean up the Rouge. We're cleaning active in our backyard. And somebody is diving all year round somewhere in the world, and Tobermory is a great place up in the Bruce Peninsula with fantastic wrecks and clear water. Caribbean, we're there quite often diving. Great Barrier Reef in Australia, I had the pleasure of diving there. West Palm Beach, that's me. And then about 2 years ago, we did an ice dive. We cut a hole in the lake, as you can see, and followed the procedures and got underneath the ice. Yeah, it was cold. We see some amazing sea life, and these photos were taken by one of our instructors and longtime members, Mike McCabe. You'll see up at the top right a moray eel. On the top left, you'll see a hawksbill turtle. Nothing's more majestic than to see them swimming through the water. Below the turtle is the brain coral, which we see quite often. The spiny lobster next to it, which you notice there are no pincers there. In the Caribbean, in the southern waters, the lobsters look like that. The fan coral, just gorgeous. And the nudibranch at the end on the bottom right. These are just some of the things that we see. Our club has been affiliated with a couple of provincial organizations that are critical to diving. The Ontario Underwater Council, our club was instrumental in creating the OUC, and it stands for safety advocacy and self-governance for the dive industry. Save Ontario Shipwrecks, critical organization that maintains the marker systems of the buoy systems on the St. Lawrence and River, Thousand Islands, and they're really there to protect the shipwrecks. They also offer training in nautical archaeology. So, you guys ready to take the leap? Here's some questions that I'm often asked about diving. Are there any age restrictions? Well, we'll train adults 18 and older. As I mentioned, I started in my 50s, and quite frankly, I got hooked on it. We were supposed to go to a wedding in Mexico, and I was kind of resisting. And then I decided I would knock something off my bucket list and got trained and did my open water certification in Mexico in my mid 50s. And honestly, I've never looked back. It's just fantastic. If you have minors that want to learn how to dive with our club, we're fine with that as long as one of the parents is a member of our club and takes the training as well. Are there medical restrictions? Well, you're going to have to fill out a questionnaire, definitely. You may have to check in with your doctor about how breathing underwater and breathing compressed air will affect you, but usually it's pretty straightforward. Is it an expensive sport? Well, it's similar to golf, similar to skiing, similar to those adventure sports that we all enjoy. But like any other sport, there's ways of mitigating cost. Here I caught my own dinner, as you can see. Now, just don't think you can yank sea life out of the ocean just willy-nilly. There are certain areas that in certain times you can harvest, and this was one of the times where we could harvest the lobsters. Why do you want to join sushi? Sorry. We have so much fun. And you can see, is that you, Mike, in the background there? You can see us just having a great time on one of the boats. I think this was just off of Cozumel. But we have a ton of fun wherever we go. And we're really a tight-knit group. So today's takeaways, our 60-year history of fun, of safety, and adventure. I said, please, if you go away with anything, please go away with that we are focused on safety and safe and responsible diving. We're also open for business and looking for new members and new recruits all the time. So who are we looking for? Anybody new to diving, adults of any age. Lapsed divers. If you've dove once in a resort dive, thought it was fun then, but didn't get back to it because life got in the way, come on back. We'll get you reactivated and get you back going. Fun loving, we are a great bunch. Honestly, we have a whole pile of fun all the time, no matter what we're doing. So please come and take a closer look. Check us out. Our website is suci2, the number 2.ca, SUCI2.ca. And that's it for 60 years of safe and responsible diving.
Thank you very much, Owen. Jennifer, it looks like you have a question. Do you have a question for Owen?
Excellent. Yeah, I would just, so I could get all this information from the site, I guess you're saying, right? I'm an advanced scuba diver.
Awesome.
I'd love to expand even more, of course. But the only thing for me is I've only ever dove in like warm climates. So I want to get that exposure too. I mean, I've been fortunate to do the Great Barrier Reef as well. I've dove in the Red Sea. Like there's been a few, so I've been fortunate to travel to some places and do it, but it's been a little while since my last dive. And so I'd love to get back and do more.
Well, by all means. So if you go on our website and there's a ton of information there, but there's some contact info or contact me and Marg will make that information available to you.
Right.
And I'll get you through the process. We would love to have you join us.
And with Patty, especially, I'm just trying to figure out. I know. I mean, she's very young right now. Don't get me wrong, but I believe it is. Is it 8 years of age that they can start in open water?
No, I think it's 12.
It's 12. Okay, it depends. 12. Okay, got it.
But I don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's 12.
Okay, I couldn't remember. My niece
might be younger, but yeah.
Okay. I mean, I know I have tons of time, but I would love for Olivia to get exposure at some point, eventually. Okay,
well, that's great, Jennifer.
Thank you so much.
Excellent
Jen.
presentation, Owen. Thanks very much. That's great for introducing Susie to all the people here. You did an excellent job. That's fantastic.
Thanks, Mike.
And thanks very much, Owen. Let's keep moving so that we can finish at a good time tonight. So I'd like to introduce our spotlight speaker for tonight, Alica Vandermeer, President and CEO of the Scarborough Health Network Foundation, which is leading the Love Scarborough campaign that many of us are familiar with. Alica came to SHN in January 2020 after almost 20 years at the Art Gallery of Ontario, concluding there as Deputy Director and Chief Advancement Officer. Prior to that, Alica held senior roles at a national fundraising consulting firm, the Canadian Hearing Society Foundation, and the York Finch Hospital Foundation. Alica has a BA in Urban Studies from U of T, an MBA in Marketing and Entrepreneurial Studies from York University, and is a graduate of the Claremont Graduate University's Museum Executive Development Program. Alica, welcome, and I'll turn it over to you now.
Thank you so much, Larry, for that kind introduction. And I am delighted to be here tonight to share with you the Love Scarborough campaign. I'm actually joined by my colleague, Ryan Bailey. Ryan Bailey is our Vice President, Community Development. He's going to help me with the slides, and he's also going to speak at the end a little bit about how you might get involved in supporting Love Scarborough. So we're going to just share with you a little bit of background on the hospital, some background on our $100 million campaign, and then we're going to share the Love Scarborough marketing and how we developed that campaign. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how you can help. And you'll see on here, just on this intro slide, a few familiar faces in Scarborough. Larry, thank you for your participation in the campaign. Rosa, and you'll see Marg Middleton a little bit later in the presentation. So next slide. I've got quite a few slides, so I'm going to actually speed through them. Scarborough Health Network Foundation, our role is to engage the community and to engage donors and volunteers in supporting Scarborough Health Network and in raising money, inspiring the community to give to SHN. Next slide. And you probably know that we're 3 hospital sites. The 3 hospitals of Scarborough actually merged in 2016 to form Scarborough Health Network. So that was the former Scarborough Grace, which is now Birchmount, the General, and the Centenary. Next slide. The catchment area actually includes Scarborough, but also goes beyond to Markham and Durham. And so we're serving it's probably over 850,000 people now. This is from the 2016 census. And SHN is actually the 3rd largest community hospital in Ontario. So quite a significant scale, and people may not realize it because people maybe don't actually even know the name Scarborough Health Network. And that's what one of the things we were trying to do, is just to build awareness of who Scarborough Health Network is. Next slide. So in our marketing campaign, we've actually profiled Scarborough because we're called Scarborough Health Network. And the Scarborough community, as I think all of you know, is incredibly diverse. It is close to 60% new Canadians, 74% visible minorities. People from all kinds of backgrounds have come to Scarborough to make it their home and to build their businesses here. Next slide. And in some ways, our community has a number of challenges, some socioeconomic challenges, some culturally specific healthcare challenges that require specialized care close to home. You may not know that Scarborough is actually a diabetes hotspot. It's diabetes is prevalent in certain communities. And a large portion of the population live in a lower income status, many people living in multi-generational homes, et cetera. A large population of seniors, and the seniors population is growing. Next slide. The Scarborough Health Network actually provides a huge range of areas of care. In addition to what you would expect, the emergency departments, it's also the largest maternal and newborn program in Ontario with a level 2 neonatal ICU. SHN is a designated cardiac center. It has the largest nephrology program in Ontario and dedicated cardiac care. Next slide. It's also the second largest community-based mental health program in the province. Orthopedics, very large, second largest joint replacement program in Ontario. A state-of-the-art eye care center. So a huge range of, yeah, you can go ahead, diagnostic imaging, a huge range of services provided at SHN. And if I can just say, the images that you're seeing are all part of our marketing campaign. So we're profiling a lot of the individuals here. One of the things that people may not realize is that hospitals in Ontario, whenever there is capital development, it needs to be approved by the province. And then the hospital is expected to come up with 10% of the capital cost. And often that is done through fundraising. And the hospital also needs to come up with 100% of the equipment costs. And so that means that fundraising becomes an incredibly important part of the hospital environment, where we're supporting both the capital infrastructure and the equipment. And one of the things, this is going to come out in the video that we're going to show a little bit later on, but Scarborough Health Network has actually got the oldest operating rooms in the province. Yeah. So operating rooms that have not been upgraded since they were first built at the General Hospital. Next slide. So we have embarked on a $100 million campaign, and the campaign is intended to rewrite that story, to change the nature, the infrastructure to serve the community of Scarborough. We have incredible physicians, nurses, and staff across Scarborough Health Network, but we need to invest in the capital infrastructure. And so the areas of priority within our campaign are transforming kidney care, so dialysis and care for a chronic kidney disease, a new diagnostic imaging center at the General Hospital, expanded emergency care at 2 of our hospitals, the Centenary and the Birchmount, improving cardiac care, and a new community mental health hub. And next slide. I'm going to say a little bit about each of these priorities. So we're raising $16.5 million to improve kidney care. And as I said previously, diabetes and chronic kidney disease is actually very prevalent in Scarborough. So the need for this is significant. In addition to investing in dialysis units at both the Centenary Hospital and the General Hospital, we are investing in a new community hub called the Bridletown Neighborhood Center, which is in partnership with the YMCA. In Bridletown. It's going to be a new hub that will provide diabetes care, but in an environment that is also about health and wellness, about diet and exercise and education and prevention and diabetes management. Next slide. So as I mentioned, we're investing in a new diagnostic imaging center at the General Hospital, and we're raising $27 million for that. For those of you who've been to the General and had any diagnostic tests there, you would know that diagnostic imaging is currently spread out in 5 different places in the General Hospital on different floors. There's not a great, I mean, the doctors and nurses are wonderful, but from a patient perspective, people are changing in corners and waiting for their tests in hallways. There aren't a lot of private spaces for waiting, and the equipment certainly needs to be modernized and the facilities need to be modernized. And the idea here is to put it all into one center where the clinicians and the physicians can work together in diagnostic imaging for the best care for our patients. Next slide. We will be upgrading 2 of the 3 emergency departments, the Centenary Hospital Emergency Department and the Birchmount Emergency Department. And those emergency departments are actually serving about 2.5 times the number of people they were originally built to serve. So a significant growth in population and in usage, and the departments have not been upgraded in many years. So the investment here is purpose-built modern emergency departments to provide the best possible care for the community. Next slide. We are also, as I said earlier, creating a new community-based mental health hub. So this is for outpatient mental health care, and it will be located outside of the hospitals in its own location, dedicated to mental health, accessible by TTC with parking, and in an environment that will help to take away the stigma of receiving care for mental health. So this is an important priority, and we're raising $6 million for this. Next slide. And then finally, some investments in cardiac care, a new CCU at Centenary, as well as a cardiac diagnostic clinic at Centenary. And then we've got a number of other priorities that we've raised money for already, such as ultrasound scanners, upgrades to the intensive care unit at Centenary, and a number of other priorities where donors have designated their funds. So in total, our campaign is $100 million, and you can go to the next slide. Thanks, Ryan. We've raised about 65 million so far. So we still have quite a ways to go, but this slide, I know it's got a lot of names on it. You're not intended to read this, but I just wanted to share that we have this huge group of volunteers who have stepped up to help us with our campaign. And so our board members are listed on here, as well as people on our campaign cabinet. And before I started in January 2020, Michael Freesdale had already joined as our campaign chair. Michael Freesdale, president and CEO of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, and he's actually just changing jobs now, but he coming from Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, he also brought on George Cope, former CEO of Bell and now chairman of Bank of Montreal, and Edward Rogers of Rogers. And as you know, they're both owners of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. So they've come on board, and this incredible group of people has stepped up to help us build relationships in the community to raise funds for Scarborough Health Network. And one of the things that Michael realized early on, next slide, Ryan, is that in trying to raise money for Scarborough Health Network, the hospital does not have an incredibly high profile in the community. And $100 million is a very large amount of money to raise, and that amount of money has not been raised in the past in Scarborough. So, and, you know, just thinking about where Michael comes from a major organization that is kind of entrenched in marketing and brand, he really felt that we would benefit from an amazing campaign that would raise the profile for Scarborough Health Network. And so he brought on board Ogilvy, advertising agency Ogilvy, to work with us to build the creative for this campaign. And so they came on board in kind, donated their services to create a campaign. We worked with them for about 1.5 years, and we talked to them about our challenges and what we're trying to achieve. And they worked with us to create this campaign called Love Scarborough, which is positioned as an open letter to Toronto. And one of the things that we really wanted to do in the campaign was to show the amazing people and profile the amazing people in Scarborough. And so we recruited 26 people, one for every letter of the alphabet. And you'll see the familiar faces on here. You'll see Larry on here for local leader. You'll see Marg Middleton for volunteer. You'll see Rosa Chan, senior leader. And you'll also see some physicians, some hospital staff. There's some donors on here. There's some business leaders in the community. So we've got this incredible, diverse group of people who joined us and agreed to tell their story. And so about 12 of them told their story in video format, and 14 of them told their story with a photo and a written story, so that people who actually want to see this content can see it in many different formats. So these 26 people came on board and told their stories, and they also lent their handwriting. So each person contributed their letter, and we brought all of this together to create a special font called Scarborough. And that font, when you think about that font being an amalgamation or an amalgam of all of these people, it's like all of Scarborough is writing a letter to Toronto to raise awareness about the needs of Scarborough Health Network and the great things that are happening in Scarborough. Next slide. So I am now pleased to share with you our 60-second TV commercial.
That is the intention.
Yeah, I think you were there. It looked like it was there.
It's I'm not sure.
I think it'll work from here. Ryan, try it here.
Yeah, it's just not
Ah.
it's not going to like that. Sorry, everybody. It's not accepting play for some reason.
Ryan, I have the deck open too. Do you want me to try
Sure. Yeah,
sharing?
yeah.
Do you
Go
want
ahead
to
and
stop
try.
sharing? Excuse us for just a moment.
Sorry, guys.
Technical difficulties here. Okay, I think I needed to share sound. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Share sound. Okay, let me give this a try.
Dear Toronto, when will we all be treated equally? Because right now, the newest Canadians are in the oldest hospitals. The city's most diverse area is also our most ignored. And although we make up more than 25% of the population, we get less than 1% of the hospital donations. How is that equal healthcare? We need you to back us up.
Because Toronto isn't Toronto without us.
Donate to Scarborough Health Network at lovescarborough.ca.
Worth the wait.
Absolutely.
You may just want to open up in presentation mode, Alicia, there, and then share the last few.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. We wanted to create something that was really bold, and I think we achieved that with the TV spot. But we also wanted to make sure that we had as much reach as possible with this campaign. And we actually were able to secure all of our media in kind. So a number of media partners came on board, and I'm going to share that in a moment. But part of the campaign was also doing transit shelter ads and out-of-home advertising. And so we picked a few of our images and some of the compelling lines from the campaign to really try to raise the profile for Scarborough Health Network and our fundraising campaign. Dear Toronto, why is our most diverse community, our most diverse area also our most ignored? Love, Scarborough. And then we've got four more. We've got Assad here, our donor on the left, repeating that line, why does 25% of the city get less than 1% of the hospital donations? We've got Dr. Martin Betts, our healthcare hero. Our care needs your care, love Scarborough. And we've got Jamil, a transfusion patient, the letter T. Dear Toronto, shouldn't equal healthcare actually be equal? And we've got Rosa Chan, our senior leader. Dear Toronto, we need you to back us up. And now I'm pleased to share, we've also got this content, as I said, video content, and I'm going to share one of our videos.
Scarborough is my home. It's all about the people. It's a community rather than part of a city. That's what Scarborough has to offer. Hi, my name is Marg Middleton, and I'm proud to say my letter is V for volunteer. Volunteering is where I spend my time. It gives me an opportunity to give back because I have been so blessed in my life. When I first retired, I said, I'll help anybody as long as it's in Scarborough. It's where I live, it's where the kids grew up, it's where I worked. It just fit. And the hospital was important to me because there's nobody in Scarborough that might not, we hope not, but that might not be affected by the hospital one day. I have health issues, and my doctor has been in at the hospital for 25 years and came to the hospital with one caveat, that he would get new operating rooms. 25 years later, we still don't have those operating rooms, but he's still here because he believes in it. We need to believe, and we need to make this happen. It's our job as a community to help raise the funds that we need for the hospital so we can make those things happen. The hospital has to be strong to serve the whole community with the best health care. It's the one place that I really, really want to help.
Thank you, Marg.
Scarborough is my home. It's all about.
And I want to just recognize the many media partners that came on board to support us. We have gotten about $4 million worth of media value donated for this campaign, as well as the donation of the creative from Ogilvy. So we're grateful to Bell Media and Chorus and Rogers. We've gotten TV, radio. We've also got Cineplex. We're in theaters. We're at Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. We're on at the games, and we've also gotten some print. And Google as well. So fantastic support from our media partners. We wouldn't have been able to do this and raise the profile that we've raised without this support. And I also just wanted to say we're doing a lot of work in-house on our website, which is where you'll find all of the 26 profiles. And you'll also see us on social media. And we've had, some great partnerships. You saw that we had those two Maple Leafs wearing the t-shirts, which resulted in so many people wanting the merchandise. And we were able to come up with a partnership to do that. I'm just going to turn it over to Ryan, because he's going to talk a little bit about how you might help us out. Ryan.
Thanks, Alicia. So we have the pleasure in community development to work with the community to raise funds, but not only raise funds, to really build programs that allow us to engage with our community, develop programs that our community wants to support, wants to work with us on. So primarily through community development, we are doing a lot of event-based fundraising. Now that has changed a little bit over the last couple of years through COVID, but I hope our fingers are crossed across our team that live events are starting to return. Virtual will continue to play an element, but we will start to be able to see each other again and engage at events again and meet up live. And so I've had the pleasure of working with many folks on this call today. Jillian and Marg and Larry to some extent, and Owen with the Underwater Club is interested in doing some fundraising for us. So that's primarily how we do our thing in community development and work with all of you. And so when it comes to the Love Scarborough campaign, and we're looking for ways on how to engage, how to allow the community to act, we have a few different programs that we're sharing. And one is to donate. It's easy to donate online. If you've not been to our lovescarborough.ca website, as Alicia's mentioned, please go there, check out the copy, check out the content, the videos, but we also have a donate button there, of course. And if you are so inclined, you have the opportunity to do that. I know some folks on this call have already gone and done that as well. Or fundraise. And that's where the event fundraising, cause-related marketing, getting your business involved, your employees involved, your community involved in fundraising events and the like are a great way to, what we're saying, show your love for the Love Scarborough campaign and SHN. We're also asking, if you want to learn more information, sign up at lovescarborough.ca. So you have the option, it's of course free of charge, but you can leave some contact information and we'll follow up with updates on the campaign, happenings, upcoming events, different things that are happening in the community. You also have the opportunity to share your message. So much like our 26 Scarborough Sans letters shared their story and why SHN means so much to them, we're asking our community to share your message, share your story on our site as well. I see some of you have purchased your t-shirts or hoodies. And so those, I'm really pleased to see when I jump on a call and now folks have them on. They are starting to ship. If you've ordered in the first couple of weeks, as you can see, you've received them by now. It has been a wonderful partnership with Scarborough Spots, a Scarborough-based apparel company. They reached out to us as soon as they saw the campaign creative and said they wanted to do something. 100% of net proceeds through the sales of the t-shirts and hoodies come back to SHN. And if you don't want to purchase online, we are going to be at Center Court in Scarborough Town Center from March 31st to April 10th, each and every day, probably more so in the afternoon and the peak period 3 to 6. But come by, check us out, say hi, and buy your t-shirt or hoodie if you want to do that there. And then engaging your networks. I see a question in the chat, which we will get to, around prospecting within the community and how do we identify folks who want to give back and who want to support the campaign. A lot of that work is done through having conversations, engaging with the community, having meetings and presentations like this where folks either self-identify or through other people's networks, people come to the forefront who might want to support the campaign or get involved in some way. Next slide, Alicia. And then when we say fundraise can take on a number of different looks and feels. The four most prominent in community development are hosting an event, hosting a third-party fundraising event, and choosing SHN as the beneficiary of choice, launching a cause-related marketing program. The business community in Scarborough, I will say, from January 6th to today, have really stepped up, reached out to us, working on a lot of cause-related marketing campaigns right now. Not only the t-shirts and hoodies, but Lost Craft, for the craft beer fans in the audience, is doing their diverse city beer with proceeds coming back to SHN. We've got about 3 or 4 others that we're working on, including Cobb's Bread, a new Scarborough location as well. And they're doing some work with us in support of Nurses Week. So cause-related marketing is an opportunity for those business owners out there, or you want to engage your workplace. Employee giving programs and campaigns like that are a wonderful way to create a sense of community amongst your team at work, fundraise in a relatively painless way with hopefully little to no effort. And then, of course, we have a slate of events and campaigns that we run each and every year. And we are always looking for new community sponsors, supporters who either want to buy a ticket or want to sponsor an event or just come out and join us. And all of these different initiatives, we require volunteers. So if you're interested in just lending what is for many of us our most precious resource, your time, I will make sure that the folks at SCRO have our contact information, and we send out some information after the meeting, and we'd love to hear from you. So that's it for me. And I think Alicia as well. I think, Alicia, we just have our thank you slide.
So I seem to have lost my.
That's okay. We can say thank you verbally.
Yeah, I do want to just say thank you so much to SCRO for giving us the opportunity to speak with you all tonight. And I also just want to say thank you for your support. We're really trying to create a movement and trying to raise the profile of Scarborough. And we just really appreciate everything that you do to just, build that pride in Scarborough and share the message about the needs of the Scarborough community and healthcare in Scarborough. And we would be happy to take any questions or comments. And
I'll start off, Alicia, because in fact, we do have a few in the chat box already. So let me get started. The first one, North Scarborough declined in population over 5% from 2015 to 2020, according to the latest census. Will this affect hospital funding? And what, if anything, can we do about that?
Yeah, so I'm not sure that I'm the best person to answer this question. coming from the foundation and not the hospital, but I will take this question back. I don't think the population decline itself will result in decreased funding. I think the funding for the hospital is actually based on the number of beds and the services provided, but I will certainly take that question back.
And the next question we have, Ryan, you were already referring to this one, and it has to do with the donor potential in Scarborough. Has SHN done the depth of analysis or an analysis of the depth of donor potential that exists in Scarborough? Clearly, we don't have the sheer numbers of high net worth individuals, but perhaps we have more successful newcomers and old timers than is known. How can we as residents help you to raise the dollars you need from these individuals and also from other parts of Toronto?
Yeah, so we're always doing work to find people who would be willing to support us. And as Brian said, some of our initiatives reach out more broadly into the community through events, or, we have programs where we reach out to people who've been in the hospital or whose families have come into the hospital. And we have, direct mail and that sort of thing. But we're also always trying to be introduced to new individuals and families who can come forward and support us. And so we would welcome any introductions that you might be able to make, or if you want to share with us people or neighborhoods where you think there's support here, or business owners, we would love to hear that from you. Any of us on our team. And we have a number of volunteers on our board and on some of our committees who help us with that work, but we are always open to meeting more people in the community.
We have another funding-oriented question here. Are all hospitals in Ontario expected to secure their own funding for equipment? Has this always been the case?
Yeah, so I'm new-ish to the hospital sector, but yes, my understanding is that all hospitals are expected to come up with 10% for the infrastructure investments and 100% of the equipment. And hospitals in different parts of the province or different parts of the city have more capability of raising that money or generating those funds through other self-generated means, such as rental of property, offices and retail on their sites and that sort of thing. So one of the things that we looked at was that it's probably a lot easier for the big downtown hospitals to raise money from those big donors. And it's more challenging in Scarborough. Yeah. So we really looked at, well, what do we need to help us be successful on that? We need more volunteers helping us. So we recruited a strong campaign cabinet. We've recruited a large campaign cabinet to help us reach more people. And we also felt we needed the profile. People don't know who Scarborough Health Network is, and we needed to actually change that. You see the big downtown hospitals marketing and advertising, and they're advertising here in Scarborough. And if you think about Toronto is only a great city when all of the parts of the city are supported and all parts of the city have great healthcare. So we should be able to reach out to the rest of Toronto and ask people to support us across the whole city. And we know that much of the support is going to come from Scarborough, but we've also gotten some really good gifts from people outside of Scarborough, which is amazing to get us to the 65 million so far.
Certainly Randell's comment in the 60-second commercial about how we get 1% of the donations. And yes, perhaps that's just the way the funding arrangements are set up, but how does that seem fair in terms of equitable healthcare is a very compelling comment. I have another question here, and it's a follow-up to what we just talked about. We have some famous folk that have come out of Scarborough who have done very well in entertainment and otherwise, who have made it big in Hollywood or in the music industry. These are folks who grew up in Scarborough and they're famous Canadians and they're now doing very well, but their connections to Scarborough are a little bit more remote. Is there any way of trying to connect with that group of people who came from here, have done very well, still have a Scarborough heritage in them, even if they're a bit disconnected from the place now to try and engage them in the campaign. I don't know how easy that is to do, but maybe you've had some experience with
Yeah, it's a great comment. And as you may know, the weekend actually gave a gift of $500,000 during the early part of the pandemic. So we were able to engage him through volunteer on our cabinet. But I'm wondering if Ryan, I know that we're trying to engage some athletes, and I wonder if you might speak to that.
Yeah, this is an ongoing priority in community development, is to try to engage our athletes, our musicians, our entertainment, our stars. And it's funny because we do get sometimes requests from the community for different events and things. And we say, well, you know, Jim Carrey has a history here, and Drake and the weekend, and we have different relationships with different folks, and some are a little easier for us to secure. But there's tremendous community rallying behind those folks when they do get up. And of course, they can amplify our message really, really quickly and easily. And they have a lot of people that will listen when they speak. And so, for instance, Natalie Spooner is joining us at our STC and Scarborough Spots activation between the 31st and April 10th. So she'll be there on April 2nd with us. And we're always looking for opportunities to engage folks in that way. And through some of our other events, even if it's as simple as a social media post, it just amplifies our message so much further. And then you saw the success of Wayne Simmons and Bunting posting in their Love Scarborough gear. And all of a sudden we're, you know, within 24 hours scrambling to make sure we get together and with a local vendor. So the power of their influence is you know, can't be denied. So yes, always looking for opportunities. And if anyone on the call has great relationships, we're open for business in that sense too.
Denise, you have a question if you'd like to unmute.
Thanks, Larry.
Sure.
Thank you for a very informative presentation. My question is really a tough question, Alicia, and I think it's worth asking though. I do tend to go to Charity Intelligence often to just assess charitable organizations before I make a donation. And I think many people, more and more people are doing that. I see that SHN Foundation is listed here as receiving only 52 cents for every dollar donated. It seems like a low amount, a low proportion of the donated dollars. So could you please comment on that?
Yes, absolutely. Since I've arrived here, we've really worked hard to bring the cost of fundraising down. And in our last fiscal year, our fundraising cost was actually 28 cents on the dollar. So that is a vast improvement. And we are really focused on that. We think that accountability back to the community is really, really critical. And we want to be within that range of acceptable cost. It does cost money to raise money. And in particular, it's expensive to do things like events. So we want to balance that with the amount of larger gifts that we're getting. And so we're really focused on the major gifts and some of the other ways that we can raise money in more economical ways. And so in our current fiscal year, we're also going to perform very well on cost and in our budget for next year as well. We're really committed to that. So, but thank you for asking that question.
Just a quick follow-up. I hope that that will be reflected on Charity Intelligence very quickly, as quickly as possible.
I hope so. Yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Alicia or Ryan at this point? I should check the chat box as well. But
yeah, Larry, I think there might be one in there from John Stapleton around cause related. I can read it if you like, if that's
please
easiest.
Go ahead. Yeah.
John is asking, when sick kids get Costco and the LCBO, so these are cause related marketing campaigns or at the till campaigns in our neck of the woods, I'm paraphrasing, do we intervene and cry foul, or do we just let it go? Alicia, do you want me to
you can give that one a try, and
sure.
I'll try too.
So unfortunately, there are no physical barriers when it comes to fundraising within the communities, and at times there is overlap, and there's existing relationships when you get some of the big hospitals downtown that are not They don't just support people in Toronto proper, they support people across the province and in some cases across the country. Sometimes some of their regional campaigns bleed out beyond the city center in which they physically exist. But it's our job, and it's my job in community development, to make sure that, and through campaigns like Love Scarborough, it has certainly helped this case, to go out and make sure that we're starting to forge those relationships in the community, and that those opportunities are at first granted to our local community hospitals. But yes, I certainly see it. I see it in the community. I don't love it, especially when it's in and around our hospitals, but we're working to rectify that and build those relationships in the community.
And someday you'll have opportunities to get the kind of gifts that the hospital in Mississauga just received recently for about $100 million or whatever it was, which makes the cost of fundraising a whole lot less, not
That's
less.
right.
I mean,
That helps your cost per dollar.
No more effort, just more money. And as we get, hopefully, more wealth in Scarborough and Scarborough people supporting Scarborough institutions, and be it in large ways or small ways, like John was referring to, then we can make a difference here. John, you have a question.
McClellan. Unmute, John.
I recently saw an ad starring none other than our friend Sue Wong here, saying the Liberals are about to give us 1.9 million, that's B with $1 billion, to Scarborough hospitals, when, not if, but when they win the next election. So this is a combination of a question to say, is this $100 million our down payment for the 1.9? So it makes it $2 billion. So comments from Sue and or the people in the hospital. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for that question. Very important question. The $1.9 billion, the B, okay, exactly what John said. It's earmarked specifically what the hospital have asked. And many of you know, when I was at Queen's Park, we did a panel review of Scarborough Health Network. And we knew at that time we need to improve and expand the ER for the Birchmont campus and Centenary Hospital. And we also know that in order to rebuild a hospital, it takes about 10 to 15 years. So in the meantime, as the population age, Scarborough North is aging, especially my riding, Scarborough Asian Court, they need a lot of ER. So this $1.9 billion commitment, John, it's basically address what Scarborough Health Network through their operations side, through Liz, the CEO, have asked the province. Okay, so we are basically putting it as a priority for Scarborough, and it parallels the ask from the hospital. And we are making a commitment as a party. It's part of our platform. And moving forward, we also asked to expedite the planning stage for the new hospital. So this is for everybody's understanding. It takes about minimally 10 to 15 years to build a new hospital. All the currently on deck dealing with the new hospital we built, you have to go through the process, the approval process. And there's a lengthy process with not just the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Infrastructure Ontario. So I just want to bring that to your attention, that priority number one is building the 2 ER, but also helping out the Scarborough General, the main campus, to do what they need to talk about from the OR and all the other stuff. But I was very happy to see Alicia about the hub, because many of you know, I was involved with the hub from the very beginning with former Mayor Rob Ford, former councillors Norm Kelly. So I'm very pleased that public land is now going to be turning into a hub that with multi-sectorial partnership, of which I think the city just recently signed off that agreement with Scarborough Health Network, and that process took a little bit longer than I anticipated. So I'm excited, and I hope to be around to see it opening. Thank you.
Great, and I'll just maybe clarify that the 100 million that we are raising is for the existing projects that I outlined, and the investment that Sue Wong is talking about is for additional future investment. So the projects that we're funding are on the books for chronic kidney disease care, the emergency departments, diagnostic imaging, and those will happen sooner.
And just a comment in the chat box, with the development of the Golden Mile, there will be corporations with deep pockets who are seeking success and positive profile in Scarborough, hoping you are connecting to them, and for those of us who have connections with them to be able to do the same.
Yes, actually, we have a small committee that is helping us with the real estate development community, and they've identified all of the developers making significant investments in Scarborough, and we are working to open those doors. So yeah, it's a really good point. There's tremendous investment in Scarborough right now. It's amazing.
And if there are community ambassadors that know these people who can help Alicia and Ryan open those doors.
We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, please, because that does make a difference when community leaders as volunteers can assist the professional staff in making these asks. So let's help where we can. Any other questions at all?
Paul Bolton.
And if not, then I will proceed. Oh,
Larry,
is there more?
Paul Bolton had his hand up.
Oh, okay. I don't see the hand. Sorry, Paul, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul, the old fashioned hand. Go ahead, Paul. Unmute yourself.
You're muted, Paul.
Come on, there you go. Sorry about that. Actually, I have two questions. What's going to happen to the top 2 floors of the tower? And Ryan, did you get a call back, anything about Randall?
I saw your note today, Paul. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will have a look at that and get back to you tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
On the 2 floors of the tower, I'm not sure about at Centenary.
Scarborough
General.
Yeah.
We would have to take that question back. I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get that answer for you. Thanks.
Ryan, I'll be calling you tomorrow to give you an update on what I've got done so far.
Okay. Wonderful, Paul. Thank you.
Okay, buddy.
Okay. Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Larry.
It's great to see such an invested community here, and I know this is part of a larger sort of outreach program that you're doing. SCRO, as you know, is a proud supporter of the Love Scarborough campaign, and we hope that all of Scarborough's leaders will get behind the campaign too. It's an important fundraiser for a hugely important community asset. And it also has an important advocacy piece too, as we campaign for a better funding deal for our aging hospital. So we can all get behind that as well. And it also, the campaign promotes a real sense of pride in Scarborough, which is something that we can all get behind. So let's do that. Our next Our Scarborough event is TBA. I hope we'll have more to say in our next e-newsletter, which I hope you're all receiving. If not, please visit us at scro.ca and sign up. We're also looking for volunteer help to spread the Our Scarborough workload. So if you'd like to know more about how you might be able to participate in the organization of Our Scarborough, please contact me. I'll put my contact info in the chat box, and happy to have a chat with you. And one more thing, on May 18th, SCRO will be hosting our first ever Scarborough candidates meeting for the upcoming provincial election. The plan is for each of the 4 main parties to nominate one of its Scarborough candidates to participate in a debate on issues of importance to Scarborough. This could include our hospital, don't you think? We should be able to tell you more in the next couple of weeks. So again, if you're on the SCRO mailing list, you'll hear more about this in our next e-newsletter. And if you're not on our mailing list, then please take a moment to to sign up at scro.ca. And I'll just put my contact information in the chat box now for those who might want to reach out to me regarding our Scarborough. And I think that's all we have for tonight. We really appreciate everybody coming by. Alicia, Ryan, and of course, Owen, thank you for joining us tonight as well. Great to have two terrific speakers on two very different topics. And enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, Larry.
Good night, everyone. Well done.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Mark.
Yes, thank you all.
Thank
Be
you.
safe
Thanks,
out there.
Gerard.
Thank you.
Night, everyone. Good night.